Juan Nepomuceno Alvarez Hurtado de Luna was a general and interim president of Mexico for a few months in 1855. He fought in all the major wars of his day, for the War of Independence through the Pastry War, the Mexican-American War, and the War of the Reform to the war against the French Intervention. A liberal reformer, a Republican and a Federalist, he was the leader of a revolution in support of Benito Juárez's Plan de Ayutla in 1854, which led to the deposition of Antonio López de Santa Anna from power and the beginning of the political era in Mexico's history known as La Reforma. Youth Juan Álvarez was born on the 27th of January 1790 at Santa María de la Concepción de Atoyac, now Ayutla, Alvarez, Mexico. He was a criollo of Spanish heritage. His father was a wealthy ranchero of Galician descent from Santiago de Compostela, and his mother was from a rich family from Acapulco. Because of this, Alvarez would be known as the Galician during the Mexican Independence War. He studied in primary school in Mexico City, but returned to his native town at age 17 to receive his inheritance. He worked as a cowboy and in the fields. The War of Independence and the First Empire. In November 1810, at the age of 20, he joined the fight for Mexican independence as a private under the command of José María Morelos y Pavón. He fought in the battles of Aguacateo, Tres Palos, Arroyo del Moldor, Tonaltepec and La Sabana, soon rising to the rank of captain. Before the year was out, he was wounded by a ball that pierced both legs, and he was given the command of the Guadalupe Regiment. In the assault on Tixta on the 15th of May 1811, he was wounded again. He was now a colonel. After the defeat of the insurgents, he continued to fight in the guerrilla campaign. When Morelos was executed in 1815, Alvarez joined the forces of Vicente Guerrero in the mountains of the southern part of the Intendencia of Mexico. Under the Plan de Iguala, he was entrusted with taking Acapulco from the Royalists, which he did on the 15th of October 1821. He was named commander of Acapulco. For that point, he was one of the leaders of the insurgents and chief in the southern region. After independence, when Emperor Agustín de Iturbide politics became intolerable to him, he joined with Guerrero and Anastasio Bustamante to fight against him. He supported Guerrero during the latter's presidency, fighting on his side in 5 battles. He was promoted to Brigadier General in 1830. When Guerrero was overthrown by his vice president Bustamante, he joined Alvarez in the south, where they continued to resist. Alvarez tried to prevent Guerrero's execution in 1831, but was unable to do so. He continued to oppose Bustamante's centralism in the 1830s. The Pastry War and the Mexican-American War. In 1838, Alvarez fought the French invaders in the Pastry War. In 1841, he was promoted to General of Division. In 1845, he was given the military command of Oaxaca and the Department of Acapulco. In 1847, as General-in-Chief of the Cavalry, he fought at the head of a division in the defense of the capital against the invaders from the United States. His stature and importance as a liberal leader with much regional power was one of the factors that led to the creation of the state of Guerrero in 1849. He was named its first governor, and after elections in 1850, he became its first constitutional governor. He served in that position until 1853. On the 1st of March 1854, from Guerrero and seconded by Ignacio Comonfort, he proclaimed the Plan de Ayutla, a revolt against the dictatorship of Antonio López de Santa Anna. Santa Anna was forced into exile in August 1855, and on the 4th of October 1855 in Cuernavaca, Morelos, Alvarez was installed as interim president of the Republic. presidency and reforms. On 14 November 1855, Alvarez rode into Mexico City in the company of a bodyguard composed of regular militia, citizens and indigenous fighters from the South. His administration was short, but his cabinet was brilliantly staffed. Ignacio Comonfort was Minister of War, Melchor Ocampo was Foreign Minister, Guillermo Prieto was Minister of the Treasury, and Benito Juarez was Minister of Justice. In the 68 days that he governed, 2 measures were adopted that changed the destiny of Mexico: the convocation of a Constituent Congress that would write the Constitution of 1857, and the abolition of military and ecclesiastical fueros. The latter measure was the Ley Juarez. One of his concerns throughout his career, both military and political, was the return of lands to the indigenous peoples of Mexico, and combating the oligarchic centralism that divided and caused huge losses to the country in favor of a liberal, republican and federal system. Urban life was disliked by Alvarez, and he did not like the ways of the members of the high class of Mexico City, because of the centralist ideology and the affiliation of many of them to the Conservative Party, and because they sympathized with monarchic aspirations, oligarchic tendencies, snobism, or have expressed antipathy and contempt towards the lower social classes, which nevertheless encompassed most of the Mexican citizens. Thus, because of Alvarez's regionalism, liberalism, federalism and his leadership of indigenous soldiers, Mexico City was not very hospitable to him, and there was conflict in his cabinet between supporters of Comonfort and Manuel Doblado. For those reasons, and for reasons of health, Alvarez soon turned over the presidency to Ignacio Comonfort, another supporter of liberal reforms. Alvarez returned to Guerrero. On his departure he said, "Pobre entre la presidencia y pobre salgo de ella, pero con la satisfacción que no pasa sobre mi la censura pública, porque dedicado desde mi más tierna edad al trabajo personal, execute manejar el irado para sostener mi familia, sin necesidad de los puestos públicos donde otros se enriquecen con ultrayuda la orfandad y la miseria. I entered the presidency a poor man, and a poor man I leave it, with the satisfaction that I do not bear the censure of the public, because I was dedicated from an early age to personal labor, to work the plow to maintain my family, without the need for public offices where others enrich themselves by outrages to those in misery." Alvarez continued to take an interest in politics, faithful to his liberal republican principles. He took an active part in the War of the Reform, in support of Juarez. In 1861, Congress declared him Benemerito de la Patria, the French Intervention and the Second Empire. During the French Intervention that led to the arrival of Maximilian of Habsburg to claim the throne of the Second Mexican Empire, Alvarez, now an old man, was in command of the Division del Sur. However, his son Diego was a high representative of the empire in the Department of Acapulco. In 1862, President Juarez, who remained in the country with his government during the entire time of the empire, ordered the Republican military commanders in the east, south and southwest to take orders from Alvarez if communications were broken with Juarez. When Porfirio Diaz escaped from French captivity, he joined Alvarez in the mountains of Guerrero. In 1867, Alvarez died on the 21st of August, a short time after the triumph of Mexican arms over the empire, in his Hacienda La Providencia, Guerrero, Mexico. On the 25th of December 1922, his remains were transferred with honors to the Rotonda de los Hombres Ilustres in Mexico City. The municipalities of Ayutla Alvarez and Chilapa de Alvarez in Guerrero were named in his honor, as is the airport at Acapulco, Juan Álvarez International Airport.